Uh, Welcome back to Chit Chats, everybody. I'm your host, Antonio.
And I'm your co-host, Brennen, and let's have a chit chat. I'm sorry, I started laughing because of you made like a weird noise when we first started because you were taking a bite of your food, and then you were like,
I was like
just
burping.
I started
Well,
laughing.
well, now I have to keep that in. I will. That's fine with me. Anyway, today, on today's episode of Chit Chats,
Today,
we're going to be talking about Marvel.
Marvel
That's pretty much that's it. That's the idea that we had to do for this. If you don't like it, then
words are fun.
hate. Then you hate you. I never liked you. I don't know. I just wanted to talk about Marvel because Marvel is a big part of I think both me and Brennan's lives. I'm willing to bet it's a bigger part of your life, Brennan, than it is for me. Um.
Actually, it's funny enough. Me and my mom are gonna watch Endgame tonight
Oh, really?
because we rewatched all the Marvel movies and
All of them?
we're finishing tonight. But we're
Oh my
finishing tonight
gosh.
with Endgame.
That's pretty. That's pretty cool. Yeah. No. Endgame is a banger of a movie. I love Endgame. You gotta wait. What
Yes,
about? Did you watch the Spider-Man movies?
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, we watched like Homecoming and Far From Home,
We
but
watched them out of order then, because Far From Home comes after Endgame.
no, we haven't watched Far From Home yet.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But but due to Sony and Disney's deal right now, they're not on Disney Plus, so we have to like actually physically watch them on DVD.
I okay.
But hey, next year, once the contract with Sony and Netflix finally gets terminated,
Uh-huh.
Disney Plus will have access to all Spider-Man movies. So,
Yes, I heard about that, and I'm excited for that. That's gonna be
yep.
awesome. But anyway, yeah. So in this discussion, because I'm willing to bet, Brennan, that like you know a lot more about Marvel than I do. Um, I would be embarrassed to tell you. Well, okay, and you basically just confirmed that you've watched like every movie in the MCU. Is that correct?
At least I've watched every movie in the MCU. At least I hate saying this, but other than like the brand new ones, so like Captain Marvel, Ant Man the Wasp, Infinity War, and Endgame. I've only watched those each about 5 times,
Hmm.
but probably all the older movies I've watched at least 10.
What?
Yeah,
I was
I
expecting
rewatch the Marvel movies all the time.
I was expecting you to say like, "Oh, I rewatched the new ones like twice, and then the other ones like three times." But no, you you went above and beyond. That's
Yeah, no, and
that's not
then
me
but like the
judging
new
you.
ones
To
I've
be
only
clear.
seen about like 4 or 5 times.
Okay. All right. I mean, okay. I'm not gonna judge you because I think they're good movies. Do you want to know how many Marvel movies I've seen and how many
How
times?
many?
Okay, so I think I can count them on two hands.
Oh
um.
no.
Okay. So I have seen Avengers. Avengers, Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider Man Homecoming, Spider Man Far From Home, Ant Man, Ant Man and the Wasp, Black Panther,
That's sad.
and I think that's it.
Oh, this is sad.
Yeah, and I think I've only ever seen. I think I've seen Endgame more than once. I've seen.
I've seen Endgame twice, so tonight will be my third time watching Endgame.
Mhm. I actually watched Endgame for like the third time a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
Um, and I've seen Far From Home multiple times. I actually saw Far From Home multiple times within the month that it came out. Um, because I really the Spider. I'm just gonna say right now the Spider Man. I love Spider Man. I think he's my favorite Marvel
Spider
superhero.
Man's my favorite Marvel superhero too.
Hell yeah! High five over the call. Yes, awesome.
I used to have a poster of Spider Man somewhere, but
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know where it went.
yeah. No, I actually did too. That's kind of funny. I took it down because it was I don't know. It just looked very jarring in my room. But
I have a lot of the original Spider Man comic books too.
yeah, actually, I think eagle-eyed Tonyverse viewers could probably see it in like a previous video if you look really
Oh
closely.
yeah, probably.
Because yeah, but anyway, yeah. So I think Spider-Man's my favorite of the movies too. I really liked Endgame. I think Endgame like made me cry like partially, or I like teared up at certain parts. when I first watched it.
Yeah, Endgame is really good.
Uh-huh.
Infinity War and Endgame are both really good movies.
Yeah. I think I find myself more reluctant to watch Infinity War first because I like Infinity War, but I think I like Endgame just because like I know it has like a good conclusion. Well, good is subjective, but like it like concludes that saga in a way. But Infinity War is still a really good movie. Don't get me wrong.
It concludes the Infinity Saga.
It does, yeah. Oh, and then okay, I've also watched the entirety of WandaVision, and I have been waiting to talk about it in some capacity in a video because here's the thing with WandaVision. I'm assuming you've seen WandaVision,
Oh
right?
yes,
Okay.
I watched it I was watching it as it was coming out. Like I was waiting every week to watch it.
See, I wasn't doing that. I watched it all within the span of like a day, like basically a month after it came out, and at that point, no one cared about it anymore. But
because then Falcon
I
and
was
Winter
watching it.
Soldier came out.
Yeah, exactly. And I was watching it. I was really invested. I was like, dude, this is so awesome. Why does no one want to talk about this anymore? I was like, well, everyone's watching Falcon and Winter Soldier now. I was like, oh, okay. Because
Really
just because
in my window.
just because something is old means we can't talk about it. Okay, that's fine. But also, I think it's not just that. I think it's also just because WandaVision. Like, okay, well, you know what? I want your opinions on WandaVision really quick. Like, what overall?
My
What do you think
opinion
about
on
it? Yeah.
I really like WandaVision. As WandaVision was a good lore and kind of an intro into Phase 4. Because even though Spider-Man Far From Home is technically the first movie in Phase 4,
Oh,
I feel like it's a good... Yeah, technically it is. Well, at least people are saying it is because when they released the Infinity Saga with all the movies, it just ended at Endgame. It doesn't have Spider-Man Far From Home in it.
Oh, that's kind of
So
weird.
people are pretty sure that it's technically Phase 4.
I see.
But so I feel like it's a good intro. I feel like it was just mainly made for a good comedy and introducing some new characters, um, and some new stuff to come. Like we got confirmation of Captain Marvel 2, and it's gonna be called The Marvels, and it's gonna have Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and then I never remember her name, but she got her powers in WandaVision.
Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
So she's gonna be part of it. And so like we got introduced to her. Jimmy Woo came back from Ant-Man and
He
the
was
Wasp,
hilarious. I
and
loved him.
he got so popular that apparently a like X-Files type like show for him is in the works where he like
Really?
looks into like mysterious Marvel cases and stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
And so and then we got to see Darcy again. We haven't seen her since Thor: The Dark World. So it was cool seeing her again. And then bringing in officially calling it the Scarlet Witch powers and confirming the fact that the stone just kind of amplified her powers and she already had powers in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And all this stuff, and then bringing in the Darkhold, the book, and that's going to what's open up the possibility to the multiverse. So Wanda, something called a Nexus being, comic book nerd. Hi, my name's Brennan. Wanda's something called a Nexus being, which means that the multiverse doesn't affect her.
Okay.
And so that's probably how she's going to be. That's probably how she's going to be part of the Doctor Strange movie, the Multiverse of Madness.
The Multiverse of Madness. Yeah.
So people are guessing that she's going to do something that's going to fuck up the multiverse because she's a Nexus being, and it's going to cause Doctor. And it was confirmed by the creators that Doctor Strange was originally supposed to show up in WandaVision.
Yeah,
but they cut it due to some situations. But one thing they did confirm is that all those commercials we saw was Doctor Strange trying to reach out to Wanda, being like, "Remember your past. Remember who you are. Remember, like this should not be happening." You know?
Yeah.
So I thought that. So as a lore point, I think out of the two shows they released so far, so Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision, I feel like Falcon Winter Soldier is better just because it gave us a lot more and was more of an actual show. But WandaVision had great comedy, and it was a great lore and kind of opening to Phase 4.
Mm-hmm. See, I haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier yet. I'm probably going to watch it all probably within the next couple weeks. But I've seen bits and pieces of it, and it looks good. It looks interesting. But I think WandaVision overall probably catered more to like my interest when it comes to like shows, because I'm very much like I enjoy comedy, like comedic aspects. I like obviously I like action. Like the action was really cool, but I think like the comedy hooked me, kind of at first. And I'm okay. I'm gonna just say it, I'm a sucker for sitcoms. Like I've always kind of like those styles. I know a lot of people don't, but I think I just have a lot of nostalgia for sitcoms, and so that's why like I think my favorite show of all time is How I Met Your Mother. I'm willing to say that, and I only say I think just because I can't think of any shows that I like more than it. But also keep in mind I haven't seen very many shows in general. At least when it comes to comedy, I'm willing to say. But like that's just my thing. So I really liked WandaVision, and I will say like, what did you think of WandaVision's finale?
I honestly, people kind of dissed on it, and
Mm-hmm.
I can see why, but I honestly loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the final showdown, and I love what she did. And I love I'm in love with Marvel right now because they managed to turn one of the most stupidest looking outfits in comic books and made it look badass. One of the Vision's
The
outfit. I mean, you saw what it's supposed to look like. Remember the Halloween episode?
yeah, yeah.
That's their comic book outfit.
Yeah, I think that was like
And
the
so like
joke, right?
I
Is that
love how they yeah, that's why she wore it. That's the same reason why the Quicksilver or Ralph Boner
Ralph Bone? Yeah, yeah.
um, wore the comic book accurate suit too, because it was just showing how stupid they looked. But so I'm really happy with Marvel because they gave her a really, really nice looking suit that's still pretty comic accurate to
Mm-hmm.
what it is in the comics, but it doesn't look well stupid. So
They did a really good job with WandaVision.
yeah,
I'm really excited. I want to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm definitely gonna get around to watching that soon. Um, what do you think of Loki?
I'm so pumped for Loki.
I'm
I
really pumped
cannot
for
wait for
Loki.
that.
That
And like I'm also just like, oh, because the Loki that we last saw in Endgame, or I mean Infinity War when he died, like finally realized where he messed up. Finally, realized that he was doing the wrong thing. Um, Even convinced his brother, like, I'm no more running away. I'm here for you.
mhm.
Actually saved his brother, got past his ego long enough to save people.
Yeah.
Like it was an I can act like literally sacrifice himself to save his brother, which the Loki that we would have seen earlier didn't do that. Well, this series is about the Loki that disappeared right after the attack of New York.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, shit, so it's gonna be back to the kind of cocky dick Loki. So I'm excited to see like if he's gonna go on this trip throughout time and do all these things, if it's gonna kind of make him realize and kind of turn back into like the Loki that we saw at the end of Dark World.
I have a feeling that that's probably like the angle that they're going for.
Not Dark World, Ragnarok.
Right.
So
No.
yeah,
Keep in mind, take my opinion with a grain of salt because I haven't seen Thor or Thor: The Dark World or Thor Ragnarok.
bruh.
But what I know about those movies and what you're saying right now is that Loki seemed to go through like a big character arc, right?
Yeah,
And
especially after spoiler alert, their mom dies.
right.
And even though Loki didn't really like his father, he did like his mom, so that got to him really bad.
Hmm. So kind of what I'm understanding is like this show will probably kind of like have him go through like a similar character arc in an attempt to like get him to that same point that he was at when he like before he died in the
Yeah,
Infinity
that's what I'm
Saga.
hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like you're not the only fan that wants that, and I feel like because of that, that's probably going to be what happens. I watched the.
yeah.
I'm assuming you saw the trailer for it, but
Oh
for
yeah, of
Loki,
course
right?
we
I watched it.
did.
I only watched it once, so I didn't like. I don't remember much. I just remember like they took him like some like uh facility took him in, and they're like going to have him like
Yeah,
go
the
on
Time
missions and
Lords.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Time Lords are an interesting
I'm like such
people.
like a what is it like base like face value Marvel fan. Like I watch stuff and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. But don't get me wrong, like I'm interested in the lore. I think it's really interesting. Um, I just like I don't know. I feel like I need to watch the movies, like all the movies. You know what I mean, to get like really
Yeah,
interested.
and
Um,
funny enough, a couple of the
at
Marvel
least
movies
watch
that
all the
I'm most
movies.
excited for aren't even Marvel. Well, like they're in association with Marvel, but I'm really excited for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Morbius. Those are two movies. They're
They're making
Spider-Man
a Venom
villains.
sequel.
Yeah, they're making a Venom sequel.
I
You didn't
actually
see the
forgot
trailer?
about. No, I didn't. Did it come out
Yeah,
already?
it came out like last week.
I
It's
did
called
not see
Venom.
it.
It's called Venom. Let There Be Carnage.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to watch it because I A lot of people didn't like the Venom movie. I thought it was hilarious. I liked it.
I liked the Venom movie. I did.
Yeah.
There was, of course, there were some things that were wrong with it, but what movie is never going to be perfect, you know? So, and then there's Morbius, and I'm really excited about that. It got held back again, but
What is
what
it,
can you do?
Morbius?
It's about a vampire. It's a Spider-Man villain.
Oh, okay. It's so
It's
interesting to
about a
me.
what?
It's so interesting to me how they're making like all these movies about Spider-Man villains, but they're like avoiding having Spider-Man in them. I mean, I think
I
that's
know, and what
interesting.
it's like. What's even worse too is I don't know why they're doing it this way because they're confusing the frick out of fans right now. Because in the end of the Morbius trailer, we see the guy who plays Vulture in Homecoming.
Really?
And yeah, and because he's like Michael Morbius, he's still like looking for blah blah blah, and then he's like, "What's up, Doc?" And people are like, "Wait, that's the Vulture," you know? And so
From
they're like,
Homecoming.
"Yeah." And then you've seen Far From you said you've seen Far From Home, right?
Hmm.
So you know how it ends with him getting blamed as being a murderer.
Yeah.
So there's a Spider-Man portrait on the wall, like graffitied, but it says murderer over it. We're like, oh, okay. So there's Vulture, and then there's a Spider-Man portrait that says murderer. That's probably tying into Homecoming somehow.
Hmm.
Yet the Spider-Man that's right on the wall was Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like the original three, like old Spider-Man back from the 2000s. And so we were like, okay, well, like whatever, that's fine. But then in the Venom movie, they're looking at the Daily Bugle, and it's the same logo and newspaper from the old Sam Raimi movies. And this time we see an article saying, "Where is the Spider-Man?"
It's so weird. They're
And
like,
so people are like, make up your fucking mind,
it's
Sony.
like,
Is this part of the Raimi universe? Is it part of the Marvel universe? Like, what are you doing?
yeah. It just gets so complicated because Spider-Man is like it's like partially a Sony property, right?
It technically belongs to Sony, but Marvel bought most of it. So Sony still makes like most of the movies and stuff like that, but pretty much it's just Marvel gets like rights to the character to put him in like Avengers and stuff like that.
It just gets so weird.
Yeah, I know. I wish they
Um,
would just let Marvel buy them. It's just
yeah.
like they had their hit with the Sam Raimi movies back in the 2000s, and now they won't let go.
No. Well, but here's the thing: is like I don't think they're gonna back down because they have the rights to Spider Verse.
Yeah,
And that's like that was like their big hit because like I think it's it's safe to say that like their track record with like Spider-Man movies hasn't been the best since the Sam Raimi trilogy. But
Andrew wasn't bad. I don't blame Andrew Garfield for those movies. I blame Sony for the writing. I feel like those movies could have been great if Sony wasn't just
yeah,
terrible writers.
well, yeah, and that's well, and still like that's my point is like regardless of what the problem was, they're not getting received well until Spider Verse came out, and then Spider Verse was like a big hit for them, and now they're making Spider
Yeah,
Verse 2. I think that's supposed to come out next year.
yeah,
Um,
2022. And
and
then freaking this new movie, the new Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Man No Way Home.
yeah,
Um, we haven't got so people are still convinced that it's going to be a partial multiverse movie. And
I'm
it's
sure
going to
it is.
involve
Yeah.
well, because we already know it's supposedly supposed to be because we know that for somehow Doc Ock is still alive from the original three, from Spider-Man 2. And Andrew Garfield's stunt double has been seen on set. And so there's still a chance of that happening. And so I feel like the only thing that might probably not happen is people are still really wanting Tobey Maguire to appear in the movie
You
as
don't
like
think he will be?
either just Spider-Man or maybe just like a cameo or maybe ends up being like Uncle Ben, like Tom Holland's like Uncle Ben, you know? And I'm just still thinking, I'm like, no, I just don't think Tobey Maguire's gonna do anything with that. So we'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah. That would and that like that would be really cool for like the fans if he was in it. But like I feel like if they try to force that and it's
Yeah.
not like it's gonna feel like inorganic and then it's not gonna like it's gonna kind of like come across that way in the movie. So like for me and especially for me because I'm not like I've never seen the original Sam Raimi trilogy. I'm
Okay.
just
That
I'm
is
just
the only thing today so far that you said that's made me mad.
what okay
like
like
even the Marvel movies, I'm like, okay, whatever. People have their thing, but
I
bruh.
know. You know what? I'm gonna blame my parents because they should have exposed me to it when I was young, but they didn't. So it's their fault. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, no, but I know obviously how much of a cultural impact those movies had, and like how like they've been treasured. But like I guess for me it's just it's less important if they're actually in it and more like that it's a good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just like I like the idea of having all the villains come together. I
yeah,
just really want Marvel and Sony to realize that like don't rush this shit.
yeah,
You know,
because that's there's a
like
lot of like
especially if they're gonna introduce Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange.
yeah,
Like, okay, maybe bring the villains in, and then maybe have Doctor Strange show up and be like, "There's a problem with the multiverse. Like, something's going down. We need your help." And maybe that's what leads to the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange. But I just really hope that they're not gonna try to bring all this shit together out of nowhere. You know, because like what's exactly like I'm still really excited about some of these villains returning, especially Doc Ock, because he's still to this day one of my favorite live action villains, especially played by that actor.
uh huh,
Um, so I'm perfectly okay with him coming back, and I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see him back. I want to see him play Doc Ock again. That's sick. But how are they going to play into that? Like, spoilers from Far From Home. The movie ended with just Peter Parker getting blamed for a murder.
for
You
murder,
know,
yeah.
so people had a feeling that he was going to go to Doctor Strange for help. And there was theories that like, oh, he'll go to Doctor Strange for help, and then Andrew Garfield will show up and be Spider-Man, and Tom Holland will be there. So I'll be like, oh, well then Tom, I mean, so then Peter Parker is not Spider-Man, because like there'd be another Spider-Man that would show up,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that would cause villains to start coming through because something happens. So I just hope they don't rush into it too bad and try to shove too much into one movie.
I would like to think that they're not going to do that. It seems like
Hopefully,
they've like I don't know, like it's hard because a lot of movie studios rush production of movies for like especially it seems with like the superhero genre, like that's like I don't know if it's necessarily a problem, but like I could see it being a problem that they try to keep them coming out to like keep people interested in them. But I actually think it's good that they like you know how they held back the release of Black Widow.
yes,
That like that shows for and like even like production of like the more recent like Marvel movies, like they held production on them because I think they
yeah.
well
Doctor
partially because
Strange:
they couldn't
Multiverse of
film
Madness
them.
was supposed to come out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to think that that's like almost kind of by obligation, but also like a creative choice. They're trying to take time with the movies to make sure they're good because in a way, like I feel like it's gonna be kind of like a challenge, not impossible, but it's gonna be kind of a challenge to like really top the Infinity Saga. Like
Mhm.
at least like from where we're at right now, because the Infinity Saga was such like a huge deal, like the second highest grossing movie of all time, and it's kind of like where do you even go from here? Especially considering like half of like a bunch of the Avengers are like dead now, or like they're not in the movies anymore. Um,
Yeah,
so like it's just like I'm like overall like I'm glad that they're like I hope that they're taking time on them and trying to like set themselves up for a good saga of movies to follow.
I know, and that it just makes me wonder what they're gonna do with the next Black Panther, because we
Yeah,
got
yeah, that
confirmation of Black Panther Wakanda Forever,
mhm.
and they also confirmed that they're not going to replace Chadwick,
That's
so that
good.
they're not going to try to do anything like that, which makes me happy.
Hmm.
Um, if they wanted to go comic book style, technically it would be accurate for his sister Shuri to become the next Black Panther.
I thought I heard that is like I think the decision they're making, but I don't know.
If they did, that would be cool because not only would I like it, and then two, it would be another female superhero, and then three, that's comic accurate. So
Hmm.
I'd be cool with that. Because that's how it is in comic books, and like there's the Avengers game that came out on the PS4 and stuff like that, and in that, it was already Shuri, Black Panther.
Oh, that's cool.
So she was there. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping. And like people there's talks in the work that like um about what exactly is going to happen with that movie and how they're going to do it, and whether most of the movie is going to be like a tribute to him, or how they're going to reveal to like in the universe that he's no longer there,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see it all play out. I'm excited. I like I really like watching the Marvel movies, especially now I've been like more interested in watching them. Did you see the trailer for the what's it called? Is it Shang-Chi and the Legend of the
Yeah, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten
Ten
Rings.
Rings? Yeah. Did you see the trailer for that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that
I'm
movie?
excited for that one.
That one looks pretty
Shang-Chi
cool.
is one I don't know too much about. I know part of his story. I know in the comic books him and Spider-Man teamed up. I admit it was really funny.
Oh, that's
Um yeah, there was a comic book where Spider-Man lost his spider sense. And so he had
oh
to
yeah.
learn like a new fighting style. So he teamed up with Shang-Chi and they made the way of the spider.
Oh,
It
that's
was really
interesting.
good.
I
Yeah.
wonder if
So
that'll. I
yeah,
wonder if that'll play
I
for
don't
him.
know I don't know too much about him, but I'm really excited to see him get a live action. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see like an actual. Sorry, there's people yelling outside my window. I'm excited to see like an actual uh Ten Rings and like the Mandarin because like the Ten Rings and the Mandarin have technically been in the Marvel. That's what also makes me wonder if this is going to be another movie that Shang-Chi won't be introduced into the Marvel universe until Multiverse of Madness or like connected, you know?
Yeah.
Because we have already technically had like the Ten Rings and the Mandarin in Iron Man movies because like that's
Mm,
the group that originally first captured him and tortured him and tried to make him build a rocket, and then there was that fake guy who's trying to like build bombs and build all this stuff, and he's like, "I am the Mandarin." So it's like, but then now in this new movie, there's the actual Ten Rings and this new guy who's like, "You will take my right hand side as the son of the Mandarin" and shit like that. So I'm like, are
hmm
they gonna do like multiverse things? Is it a different universe? Like, what's going on? You know, like, is
Yeah.
this the real Ten Rings? What's happening?
We'll see.
So I guess we'll have to see.
When does that movie come out? Do you remember?
Sometime.
I think it's September.
I can't remember if it's this year. I'm pretty sure it is
I,
this year.
I'm pretty sure it's this year. I just don't know what month, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna see Spider-Man: No Way Home. That you can
Yes,
guarantee.
definitely.
I want to
I
see
don't
it.
know which one I'm more excited for: Spider-Man: No Way Home or Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness.
Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness is
Doctor
gonna be
Strange is one of my
really
favorite
cool. Man.
characters, so
Yeah,
I'm really pumped for
and that just
him.
seems like a really cool concept for a movie, like exploring the
Yeah.
multiverse. Like that's always been like an interesting like concept to me, like the multiverse, like multiple universes.
Hmm.
Like so, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it.
hmm I think that's gonna wrap up today's episode. But we had like that was fun. I enjoyed talking about Marvel with you, Brennan. Yeah, you like
Yeah.
I can tell you like you're kind of like teaching me a lot of stuff I didn't know. So,
Oh, you don't even want to know what I could go into. It's not
well,
healthy.
yeah. Hey, maybe in a couple months we'll do another episode, or at some point in the future we'll do another episode where we could review like the new
Okay.
Spider-Man movie or something, or the new Doctor
This
Strange
is
movie.
small. This is small. It's just a single fact I want to tell because it's funny. And Marvel totally stole a DC character.
Okay.
So DC had a storyline that was one of their biggest storylines ever. And it was called Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Uh huh.
And in the story, the Flash ran so fast around a machine that it caused the polarity and all the matter around the machine to kind of explode on itself.
Uh huh.
So it kind of helped destroy the machine. But at the same time, Flash ran so fast he dissolved.
Oh my
And
god.
that was the first time that the death of Barry Allen,
Yeah.
and then that's when we got Wally West as the Flash. Well, out of nowhere, a couple months later, a mysterious superhero showed up in the Marvel universe that was pretty average size, really buff, had long blonde hair, and was wearing torn red and gold clothing. And he was a speedster, and he was faster than every person in the Marvel universe. And when people tried to ask him, like, where are you from? What's you like? He's like, I don't remember where I'm from, but all I know is my name sounds something like Buried Alien.
Wait, what was this in?
It was Marvel. It was just some story that happened in Marvel, and he was around for a little bit
Oh,
before he disappeared.
wow.
And I was like, Marvel.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I did
So
not know that. That's actually that's
nerd
funny.
fact for you.
Wow. Well, there you go. There's your Marvel fun fact of the day with Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah, thanks for joining me today, Brennan. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, let us know if you want us to do an episode on DC, I guess, next. I don't know. No,
You don't
yeah,
want to
no.
get me there.
We'll do it. No, we'll actually just do a whole episode where we just talk about only the Joker movie, and that's the only movie we talk about the whole.
Yes.
Yeah, that is cinema.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, hey,
anyway,
he got an award for it, so
that's true. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.